A genuinely happy cat's life isn't built on big gestures. It comes down to a handful of everyday conditions that quietly help them feel settled day after day. When those conditions are in place, cats relax completely. When even one is missing, small stress signals tend to show up in their behavior, often in places most owners never think to look. Let's go through 7 of them. One of the first places this shows up is what happens the moment your house goes quiet. You leave for work, the door clicks shut, and for the next several hours your home falls completely silent. That silence might feel like nothing to you. To some cats, it can feel subtly unsettling, especially cats who already run a little more anxious to begin with. Their ears keep rotating, scanning for input that simply isn't there. Their body holds a low level of tension it never quite gets to release. Cats are wired to notice sudden shifts in sound, and total silence right after activity, like you leaving the house, can register as exactly that kind of shift. Research into feline stress has found that sound environment genuinely matters. For a lot of cats, gentle, consistent background sound has a measurably calming effect, while sudden or unpredictable noise tends to push stress levels up. Cats vary here. Some genuinely do fine in total quiet, while others do noticeably better with something soft and steady playing in the background. The cats who don't adapt well to silence are often the same ones who seem restless or unusually clingy the moment their owner walks back in. A radio left on low, tuned to calm voices or soft music, gives their ears something neutral and predictable to follow instead of straining for sounds that aren't coming. Then there's a kind of absence that has nothing to do with sound at all. Picture standing in a room with only one door and someone friendly standing near it. They're not blocking your way, but something about the situation still feels slightly off. Some cats are far more sensitive to this exact feeling than most owners realize, especially in open, exposed spaces. It usually comes down to the shape of the room itself. Cats relax more when they have real options, height, cover, and more than one way out. A cat doesn't just need the absence of danger in the moment. They need the ongoing reassurance that if something did go wrong, they'd have somewhere to go. Multiple paths, elevated spots they can reach quickly, roots behind furniture that let them move without being seen. All of it matters. In homes with very open layouts or minimal furniture, some cats end up feeling genuinely exposed, with nowhere to disappear to, and that low-grade unease can build quietly for months without ever becoming obvious. If your cat tends to freeze around visitors or startles easily, the room's layout might actually be part of the problem, particularly if there's no easy perch, hiding spot, or clear exit nearby. Something as simple as adding a tall perch near a doorway or leaving a gap behind the couch can meaningfully shift how a cat experiences that entire space. Suddenly there's a way out again, and with it, a sense of control comes back. Even a well-laid-out room can start to feel wrong if something else keeps shifting underneath it, and that something is usually routine. Cats don't check clocks, and they don't need to. Their internal sense of timing tracks when the refrigerator usually opens, when the bedroom light typically clicks off, when you tend to settle into your usual spot on the couch. Cats are sharp pattern trackers, far more attentive to routine than most owners give them credit for. Predictability tends to lower stress across a lot of species, and cats are especially sensitive to shifts in their established routine. Domestic cats learn a household's rhythm, meal timing, bedtime cues, repeated little sequences, and apply that learning to a surprising number of everyday moments. A lot of cats pick up on patterns their owner never consciously created in the first place. Maybe you always pause briefly in the kitchen before heading to bed. Maybe you open the blinds in the same order every single morning. Your cat has noticed, and when a step in that sequence gets skipped or shifted, it registers as a small ripple of uncertainty, not a crisis, just a disruption worth noting on their end. Cats who seem the most settled overall tend to live with owners whose routines are steady without being rigid. A similar general wake-up window, a loose but consistent morning sequence, the same rough spot on the couch most evenings. The rhythm doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be recognizable. That rhythm only matters as much as it does if another, quieter need is also being met, and that's the view your cat actually gets to look at. A lot of cats gravitate toward windows, but to a cat, not every window is created equal. Some windows sit completely unused for months. Your cat glances at it, walks past, never actually settles there. What matters more than the window itself is what's actually visible through it. A window facing a blank brick wall offers essentially nothing worth watching. A window facing a busy sidewalk might sound exciting, but for a lot of cats, it's genuinely overwhelming. Too many unfamiliar shapes moving too close and too unpredictably. What actually holds a cat's attention is movement at a comfortable distance, birds in a far tree, squirrels crossing a yard, leaves shifting in the wind. This falls under a broader idea called environmental enrichment, giving a cat safe, engaging things to track and observe, and it's consistently one of the more underrated factors in overall feline well-being. A cat with a genuinely good view has something to watch, something to track, something that keeps their predatory instincts quietly, harmlessly occupied. If your cat ignores a window entirely, it could be the view, but it could just as easily be the perch itself, the room's location, or simply how exposed that spot leaves them feeling. Moving a perch to a different room, or hanging a bird feeder within easy sightline, sometimes turns a completely forgotten corner into the single most used spot in the entire house. Even the best possible view won't matter much if something else in the home keeps getting quietly disturbed. And that brings us to the one spot in your home your cat has claimed and returns to constantly. You might not even know exactly where it is, but they check on it often, sit near it, sometimes just glance toward it from across the room. Cats are territorial in ways that run deeper than scratching posts and simple scent marking. Feline behavior research describes something called core territory, the small, specific zones in a home where a cat feels the most secure and in control. These zones aren't always beds or laps. They're frequently hidden, overlooked corners, the gap between the couch and the wall, the top of a bookshelf nobody else pays attention to, a closet shelf tucked behind old blankets. What actually matters isn't the spot itself, it's whether that spot stays undisturbed over time. When furniture gets rearranged, or a closet gets cleaned out, or a box that's been sitting in the exact same place for months suddenly disappears, some cats notice almost immediately. The one thing they could reliably count on has changed, or vanished entirely. If your cat seems unsettled following some household change, it's worth checking what might have been quietly moved without anyone else thinking twice about it. That claimed spot might look completely unremarkable to a person, but to your cat, it functions as a consistent anchor, a physical piece of their overall sense of stability. That same underlying need for stability shows up again in a place most owners overlook entirely: mealtime itself. Watch how your cat actually eats, not just what's in the bowl. Do they pause between bites to glance around the room? Do they eat quickly, almost urgently? Do they leave food behind and walk away partway through? Cats evolved as solitary hunters, eating alone in short, quick sessions multiple times a day in the wild. And a lot of cats strongly prefer eating somewhere they can actually see what's happening around them, especially in busier homes or multi-cat households. A cat forced to eat while facing a wall can't see anything happening behind them, and for some cats, that specific positioning creates a quiet, persistent discomfort, enough that they never fully relax enough to slow down and eat comfortably. A small adjustment often helps here, and it's genuinely easy to test. Move the bowl so your cat isn't forced to face a wall and can keep the rest of the room in view, or tuck it into a corner where their back feels covered instead. Some cats won't react to this change right away, but over the following weeks, mealtime behavior often shifts noticeably. Slower eating, fewer nervous pauses, less food left behind unfinished. That same underlying pattern shows up in one more place most owners assume they already fully understand: how touch actually gets started. You walk past your cat and reach down to stroke their back. Quick, casual, clearly affectionate from your side of it. But from your cat's side, it can land a little differently than intended. Cats are extremely sensitive to exactly how touch begins and how it physically feels. Their whiskers pick up on shifts in air pressure. Their skin registers contact in remarkably fine detail. So when something touches them with no warning at all, even something entirely pleasant, the sensation can land as sudden and unexpected, a small jolt they genuinely didn't see coming. None of this means spontaneous affection is wrong, it just means the approach shapes the actual experience. Slowing down slightly, letting your hand enter their line of sight before it makes contact, giving them even half a second to register what's about to happen. These small adjustments carry real weight. They make touch feel predictable instead of sudden, giving your cat a brief moment to register you before contact actually happens. The cats who visibly lean into touch, softening under a hand instead of tensing up, tend to live with owners who've picked up this small rhythm without ever really thinking about it consciously. A brief pause, a small moment of visible warning, then contact. That tiny pause is often the entire difference in how touch lands, especially for a more sensitive cat. Run through all 7 of these: sound, escape routes, routine, view, claimed territory, mealtime positioning, and the way touch begins. And you'll likely find your home already does well on some without ever having thought about it, and maybe falls a little short on 1 or 2 others. None of it requires a renovation or an expensive setup. Most of it just requires actually noticing what your cat has been quietly asking for the whole time.